Last week, Jalen Brunson won the Eastern Conference Finals Most Valuable Player. The New York Knicks are heading to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999, and the man leading the charge is the player everyone said was underrated. The player everyone said would not be enough. The player who just proved them all wrong. For nearly 3 decades, New York basketball has lived in the shadow of what once was. The echoes of 1994 and 1999, years when the Knicks stood on the NBA's grandest stage, have faded into memory, replaced by a relentless cycle of hope and heartbreak. Every spring, the city watched as dreams slipped away, the banners left untouched, the parade routes unused. Patrick Ewing's fierce leadership brought the Knicks to the finals twice, but the title never came home. The torch passed to Carmelo Anthony and Amare Stoudemire, stars whose promise flickered but never burned bright enough to lift the burden. Year after year, the hunt for the next savior grew more desperate, each new arrival greeted with anticipation, each departure leaving the city a little more guarded. Through it all, the hunger remained. A city waiting for a leader who could finally break the spell and restore belief in the blue and orange. Jalen Brunson's college resume reads like a blueprint for greatness: 2 NCAA championships at Villanova, a Naismith Player of the Year award, and a reputation for poise when the lights burned brightest. Yet when draft night arrived in 2018, the league's decision-makers looked past the hardware and focused on the tape measure. At 6'1" without shoes, with a wingspan that fell short of the prototypical star, Brunson was labeled too small, too limited, too safe. He slipped to the 33rd pick, bypassed by teams chasing flash and upside. Dallas took him, but even there, he played in the shadow of bigger names, logging backup minutes behind Luka Doncic, his production hidden behind the box scores. For all his winning, for all his leadership, Brunson was treated as a specialist, reliable, but never essential. The disconnect between what he achieved and how he was valued set the stage for the league's next big miscalculation. Subscribe for more stories of basketball's quiet revolutionaries. Leon Rose didn't chase stars for headlines. He built a roster to amplify Jalen Brunson's strengths. The Knicks paid a steep price for Michael Bridges, sending 5 first-round picks to Brooklyn to secure a wing defender who could guard the league's best and space the floor. Karl Anthony Towns arrived in a blockbuster that sent Julius Randle to Minnesota, trading brute force for a stretch big who could run pick and pop with Brunson and punish mismatches inside. Josh Hart, once a trade candidate, was kept for his relentless defense and chemistry with the Villanova core. Every move had a purpose: surround Brunson with players who could defend, shoot, and sacrifice for the team. The cost was heavy: future picks, beloved veterans, cap flexibility. But the vision was clear. This was not a collection of stars. It was a roster built for trust, cohesion, and the kind of basketball that wins in May and June. Subscribe for more stories of basketball's quiet revolutionaries. Doubt swept across the city the moment the ink dried on Jalen Brunson's contract. Headlines screamed overpay. Pundits lined up to question the wisdom of handing $104 million to a guard who had never made an all-star team, who stood 6'1" and played in the shadow of Luka Doncic. Social media boiled with skepticism. Fans and analysts alike wondered if the Knicks had gambled their future on a player better suited for supporting roles. The narrative was relentless. Brunson wasn't a savior, just another risk in a long line of failed bets. Leadership was questioned. Could a steady, unflashy point guard carry the weight of Madison Square Garden? Every radio call-in, every sports desk segment circled the same demand: prove it in the playoffs. Until then, the contract was a punchline, and Brunson was the face of a franchise daring to believe in patience over hype. Doubt could only last so long. The Knicks' 11-game playoff run began as a test and ended as a statement. Down by 22 in the opener against Cleveland, Jalen Brunson didn't flinch. He poured in 38 points, including a relentless overtime surge that turned a deficit into a warning shot. The Cavaliers never recovered. Game after game, New York's lead guard set the tone, scoring 26 points and 7 assists per night on nearly 50% shooting, a model of control in the chaos. The sweep was absolute. 4 straight wins, each more commanding than the last. Critics fell silent as the Knicks stormed through the East, every victory validation for a roster built on trust and sacrifice. For a city starved for heroes, Brunson's calm lit the fuse. Subscribe for more stories of basketball's quiet revolutionaries. Jalen Brunson's ascent became the story New York had been waiting for. In the 2025 to 2026 season, he averaged 31.4 points per game, setting a new standard for Knicks guards and writing his name alongside the league's elite. He was no longer just a steady hand. He wore the captain's patch, chosen by teammates who trusted his voice in every huddle. The city watched as a player once dismissed as too small became the face of a team that finally played with purpose and belief. And then, history circled back. 27 years after Rick Brunson suited up for the Knicks in the 1999 finals, his son led the same franchise back to the game's biggest stage. The Brunsons became the first father and son to reach the NBA Finals for the same team, a legacy built on resilience, patience, and the power of belonging. Subscribe for more stories of basketball's quiet revolutionaries. In a league obsessed with flash, the Knicks found their answer in composure and trust. Sometimes, the savior is the steady hand. Finally, heartbreak gives way to hope. Subscribe for more stories like this.